Yeah, look at this parking lot. This is wild. Holy cow. And the other side is just like that, where the preferred side is. I can remember certain times coming here and basically parking way over on that lot, like far out, man, and having to take the tram all the way up to the entrance. Which brings me to my next question. Put it in the comments. Do you ever think the trams will return to Studios and Epcot? I often wonder. I mean, I still say when you're, even though there's, you know, clearly the parking lots aren't that crowded, but when you're charging an absolute premium for your experience, you should get that premium in return. And I feel like they definitely take advantage of people sometimes by cheating them out on things that are normally standard at all other theme parks. For example, Dollywood. Anybody that's been to Dollywood knows their parking lot goes on for what seems like miles, and they always have the trams running, because that would be a extremely long walk to the front from the back part of the parking lot.
Station 51, engine 27, engine 32, truck 105, 1700 Lakeview, 1700 Lakeview, Cross Street, Gardner, time 1632, 110 for AMG 365.
Main Street Fire Rescue, we are now in service from Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's Matt reporting. What a day we got today. Yesterday, Magic Kingdom. Today, Hollywood Studios. I'm going to add on to what I started yesterday. Okay, so the vlog hasn't hit YouTube yet. At least it hasn't as a recording of this. It's being basically uploaded, so it should hit later today. My Charleston to Orlando vlog that I did just kind of the spur of the moment seems to be doing well. I've had some positive engagement on it. That's awesome. Thank you all for your support. I really, really appreciate it. Again, growing the channel. I mentioned it on my drive back from Charleston to Orlando, as I was talking about, you know, growing this channel. It's a little bit every day. As they say, Rome was not built in a day, and neither is this channel, and neither is your body when you exercise. So it's just patience, and we all want things to grow fast and be successful, but the reality is it takes time. Nothing worth doing is ever easy. I always like to look at it that way. So with that, today we're gonna bring some of the hidden magic in plain sight series. I don't know what I'm gonna call it. That sounds good for now though. But like I talked about yesterday, I'm gonna make this a series. And it's something that we can do for a very long time, because there's a lot of magic in plain sight. People come to these theme parks every day, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands per month, millions per year, and a lot of times people walk past things that are in plain sight. They don't even get a chance to look at it, or don't even realize what they're looking at. So I'm doing this as more of a thing to kind of get a lot of the hidden magic that's in plain sight out there. So when you come here on vacation, or if you're a local and you're looking for something different to do outside of riding rides and park hopping and everything else, and you want to look at more of the details that these parks offer, you can bring this along and just make notes or follow along with it and find some of the things that we're going to point out today. Again, this is something that literally you could do for years, because there is so much available. And again, I'm using research guides and everything else. Like I said yesterday, I'm not pulling this out of my ass and just making stuff up. This is actually researched, and they are facts. So you can be sure that if you go find this stuff or even look it up, it'll match up with whatever we're saying. I do want to add in real quick, I've been doing some more research on the Swan and Dolphin, and I uploaded a vlog a little while ago about that, and I touched on the black box that's in the middle of the Dolphin, and there's one in the Swan. I wasn't completely accurate in how that was in the description of it, so I want to go back and redo Swan and Dolphin a little bit, plus show you a lot more. There's a lot more that can be said for those black boxes that are both in the Swan and the Dolphin. So I want to kind of, whatever's in there, if some of it's kind of factual, but the thing is there's so much, there's so many theories, so many urban legends, so many ideas of what that is, that there's really no right or wrong answer, but I found some really hard factual evidence on what the architect planned for that and what the real meaning for those black boxes inside the resorts are. Or I'm sorry, inside, you know, that you can see from the exterior. So we'll do that in a later date, but I just wanted to touch on that real quick. So with that, we're gonna walk in, we're gonna get started. We're actually gonna start in the main entryway of Hollywood Studios, and then we're gonna walk through, probably focus a lot on Hollywood Boulevard, and then the Echo Lake area, and as well as probably wander into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I'm gonna show you how to ride Millennium Falcon on a busy day. What's crazy is the parking lot does not make it look busy, but it actually is pretty busy. A lot of the rides are 80, 90 plus minutes, which is crazy because that means, again, most people are staying on site. And I also wanted to add that yesterday I commented it on Memorial Day weekend possibly being busy. I really don't think it's going to be that busy in the realm of pass holders, because I was looking at the pass holder availability calendar. The weekend is full of star days, meaning they've added bonus reservations. So if you book those days or make a reservation, it doesn't count against you. So does that mean Memorial Day isn't going to be that busy? Time will tell. We'll keep an eye on it. So we're going to head inside and get started. Let's have some fun today. First things first, right after coming through the main ticket turnstile entry, whatever you want to call it, we're at the crossroads of the world, and what you'll find is this gigantic tower with a spinning globe, and there's a Mickey on top. To the average person, this would appear to be just a normal statue of Mickey standing on a globe that's spinning.
Where's Logan?
Okay, I don't know where Logan's at. But there actually is a function to this beautiful sculpture. And I gotta zoom out a minute to show you what I'm talking about. Mickey is actually a lightning rod. And what do I mean by lightning rods? Well, for those of you that aren't from Central Florida, give you a little history here. Florida is the lightning strike capital of the world. We've definitely earned that title by every time it storms, you're guaranteed that you're going to get a lightning strike somewhere. So as you're here, what I want you to do, if you get a chance, look at the rooftops of all the buildings. And as you can see here in the antiques and curios, see the little metal rods. They're on every building, every attraction all around the theme park. They're everywhere. Just on this building, there's 3 right here. They're, you know, depending on distance, most of them are about 8 to 10 feet apart. But what that does is when there's a storm, it helps to get the lightning to the rod in the buildings and away from guests. So what will happen if there were to be let's say there'd be a lightning strike here, it would hit that rod and then follow a set of cables into the ground and keep the guests safe. So those are just your generic lightning rods, but they need one here in the center to protect the guests. So what they did, they walk around without stepping on people. So what they did was they took Mickey all the way at the very tip top up there. All right, we're gonna zoom in a second. We're kind of at an angle. You can see Mickey's hand. His top ear on the left side, right by his hand that's outstretched, that ear that's pointed up to the sky is actually a copper ear. That is a lightning rod. So Mickey functions as a lightning rod to help protect the guests and keep the guests safe. So if there'd be a lightning strike out here toward the center, it would hit Mickey's ear and travel all the way down through this building and safely be discharged into the ground. So outside of a statue, Mickey has a function. Very cool. So when you come in and see the crossroads of the world here, look up and you know Mickey's kind of protecting everybody by being a lightning rod. It's also hard to see from down here as well, but that is also the 1930s version of Mickey Mouse. Mickey has many, many different versions from the very beginning to current times. He's taken on many different features, many different styles. So the one up top is 1930s. So one other thing I wanted to point out while I'm here by the front entrance, this is an old school fire department box alarm. This is something I studied when I was brand new in the fire service. This is how they would refer to it in the big cities is we got a box at whatever address. These would be on a lot of street corners, and what would happen is you'd break this glass, you'd pull the alarm down and ring at dispatch, and they would just have the coordinates of this firebox, and then they would be able to dispatch the nearest fire department to this area where the fire was. So they'd always call that, back in the day, a box alarm or a box alarm fire. Some cities still have them. I know when we were visiting Paige's family last week in Boston, I saw a bunch of them. I don't know that they're still in service or they just maintain them. Be curious to know, but they are cool. Some vintage fire department stuff. So after the crossroads of the world in the front entryway, you come down here to Sunset Boulevard. I'm sorry, it's not Sunset Boulevard. This is Hollywood Boulevard right here. And you have all of the neon signs. You have Mickey's of Hollywood here on my left. And then dark room, a lot of signs. This is themed after, I would say, 1940s, 50s Hollywood with neon and all the design. The one thing we're looking for now here on Hollywood Boulevard, which intersects Sunset Boulevard up ahead, there are a lot of references here with the numbers 1928, or better yet 1928, which was when Steamboat Willie was first brought in, and that was basically the first Mickey Mouse short that debuted. So somewhere up here, we got to look for it. There's a manhole cover that's got the 1928 written on it, and that's a tribute to Steamboat Willie and the very first version of Mickey Mouse. So in keeping with theming of old 50s Hollywood, is another fire department box alarm. I didn't realize there were so many of them. Now it's funny, now I'm looking for vintage stuff. I see that stuff everywhere now. Again, I've been coming here a lot of years, and first time I've been noticing all those box alarms. So what we're looking for is somewhere around this area, there's a half oval. They say there's a half oval piece in the pavement right below a tip board, but I don't know what tip board they're talking about. But it's marked with 1928, which again is a dedication to the year when Steamboat Willie was started. Let's see if we can find it. I'm wondering if it's not featured over in this way somewhere. They had an incident. Nobody got hurt, but they had a piece of the building collapse right before Christmas. And I'm not finding it, but this might be one of the areas that they're referring to, because there's some things hidden here, and I'm not sure if one of those is a tip board or not. But I'm going to keep on looking. But I'm not finding it, but I'm guessing we're right in the right area. So this may be where it's located, possibly. So doing some further research, I'm not going to give up on this, but we're going to move on to find some other things. But it may have been a victim of construction over the years, because they're looking at some of the old photos. It should be right in this area, and I don't see it. But anyway, there's also, in reference to 1928, it is featured all around Disney's Hollywood Studios on various buildings, as part of building numbers. They just sneak it in there everywhere. It's kind of like the hidden Mickeys of Hollywood Studios. See how many actual 1928s you can find. One of them that we're going to find, or one of the pieces of original MGM Studios, is located actually right here. We're kind of at the so Sunset Boulevard's right behind me there. Straight ahead is the Great Movie Ride / Mickey's Runaway Railway, and right here is this statue. And apparently this is featured. This is a replica from a feature out in Hollywood, California. And right below that is the dedication to Disney's original MGM Studios on opening day, May 1st, 1989. And this was Michael D. Eisner. So this was a product of the Eisner era, which a lot of people liked. But it says here, Disney MGM Studios, the world you have entered was created by the Walt Disney Company, is dedicated to Hollywood, not a place on the map, but a state of mind that exists wherever people dream and wonder and imagine, a place where illusion and reality are fused by technological magic. We welcome you to a Hollywood that never was and always will be. Michael D. Eisner. That's awesome. So Hollywood Studios, when it started, was this is a shell of what it used to be. Now, not long ago, I came through here in the evening and found a few hidden places. We're going to add to that. I'm actually going to go back and revisit some of the places I went to that evening, because now most everything is open, and I've got some research with me where I can better find things. So what we're going to do, now that we found this, I'm going to try to find us some of this 1928. So again, in my research, it says you'll see 1928 on various buildings all over Hollywood Studios. Keep an eye out for them. So there, apparently, Hollywood and Vine Restaurant across Echo Lake is another location marked with Mickey's debut date. And then it says, you know, see how many more you can find as you tour the park. So it's really cool. They give you the location of one to get you started. Well, technically two, which is supposed to be in the pavement somewhere. But the other one is, we'll go find it by Hollywood and Vine. And then they kind of throw that little teaser out there that, see how many of them you can find. So we're going to find our first clue from 1928. So I actually found our very first hidden 1928 to get us started. It's at the very top of the Hollywood and Vine building. And they do not put these in easy locations. So apparently, like I was saying earlier, these are all over the park. The year of the debut of Steamboat Willie. So as we wander through the park, we'll see how many more we can find. I'm going to try to see if I can find a list of how many there are, but from the way the research and the book says, there's a lot of them. So there you are. When you're here at Hollywood Studios, Hollywood and Vine, main entrance right here, straight up is right there. Now, the one thing that is missing that they talk about through the research that I really miss is Streetmosphere. So Hollywood Studios used to have these things called Streetmosphere characters. And what they would do is they would walk, they were like out of work Hollywood actors looking for, you know, their big break, or looking for attention, or maybe they had hit it big and then were taking a break. They each had different stories, but they would roam these streets here, and they were super entertaining. They would have these, I think one was a joke called the Rule of 99s that they would talk about, and they would travel in this truck with all the speakers on. They'd find a place to park, usually over here on Sunset, and it was very entertaining. I didn't get to see them that much, but I've seen them a lot on live streams, and they were absolutely hilarious. That was one of the sad ordeals of the insane stuff that happened when everything was closed and the layoffs and all that. They never came back, which is a shame, because they were super talented and were incredibly funny and a very big part of this park, and I definitely miss them not being here. Maybe one day though they'll have them back. Please bring them back. So our next stop is going to be right in front of me here. This is Echo Lake. So the story behind Echo Lake is when this MGM was being built, this crater that is Echo Lake, apparently this was the very first thing that was installed here in the theme park as it was being constructed. Located around this small lake, just as so this is done to symbolize the tiny town of Echo Lake, California. It's set around its namesake body of water. This charming area of Hollywood Studios has several opportunities for a snack or a meal and some lovely hidden magic. So this is actually designed after a real place. Very cool. So we're looking for some business signs here. Should be right around in this area. Basically, we're looking for like advertisements. Yep, here we go. So right on this doorway here, so there's the corner. This is what store is this? I gotta look. So this is the Hollywood Fashion Store. It's at the end of Hollywood Boulevard. You come over here, there's a door, Sights and sounds, acting and voice lessons. Now take a look at these names. Say them fast. You'll impress them. You'll impress them. Master Thespian. Singer B flat. Voice coach. Bill Moore, who's the account executive. Money grubber. And we finished some of Hollywood's finest. Checks not accepted. So if you ever want something fun to read, right here on the door. There's some more down this way. So there's actually a gift shop right here, which is to my left. But this is the cosmetic dentistry, okay? And if you go down, this is actually a riser, sprinkler riser. Basically, if there'd be a fire, there's a sprinkler in here for the fire department. If water flows, it's going to trigger that alarm so they know exactly where to look. But anyway, right here on the directory, so our address is 540 Echo Park Drive, which is right across from Echo Lake. We have in the directory, the Glamour Salon is 101, but then in the dentist's office, 201 is See How We Pull 'Em, DDS. 204 is Ruth Canal, DDS. And then 210 is Less Pain, DDS. Oh, that's Echo Lake directory. But that's what I love about Hollywood Studios is there's so many fun little things like this just sprinkled all around this place. And I do love the old school. This is vintage 60s, 70s, even 80s, the glass block. That's something you don't see anymore at all. We'll find this all over Hollywood Studios as we walk around. So kind of off to the front of Hollywood and Vine here, back on the same building on the other side where all the funny signage was, is something that I think is really cool here. And it just seems super plain to somebody that was just looking at it. But if you'll notice, there's a sign that says office space for rent. Everything that's put into the Disney theme parks, the Imagineers always put there for a reason. I'm going to give you a little history on this for rent sign. I'm actually going to read this off of the sheet because there's a lot to this. So that for rent sign, as they say, it's placed for a reason. So the story behind it is when Walt and Roy Disney were just starting out, their initial base was in an uncle's garage until they had amassed enough money to rent their own studio space. They finally found a location they could afford right above the Holly Vermont Realty Company, whose logo is on this door here. And I'll move up to that after I'm done. The logo is on the door right below the for rent sign. And it always says it's a nice tribute to a humble start. Don't you think? I would say so. So for the for rent sign come all the way down. When they rented that, this was the actual name of the realty company in Hollywood and Beverly Hills. How freaking cool. Again, I've walked by this stuff. Can't tell you how many times and never even gave this a thought. A lot of history right there. So another thing I want to point out is the window right up there. It says Eddie Valiant. And it's hard to see because it's kind of a teal blue against brown. But it says all crime, surveillance, missing persons, and it's private investigators. And also, they're supposed to, according to this, it says there should be a sign somewhere that says no tunes allowed. So if you look, they're saying there should be a sign that says no tunes allowed, but I don't see that one. It's just got all crime, surveillance, and missing persons. But Eddie was a character within the movie, if you remember, way back in the 80s, was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And if you go just to the left, look whose silhouette's right there in the blinds. So this is a really cool little piece of old school Disney history with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They keep saying there's a no tunes allowed sign, but I don't see that one. So, but this is still very cool. And also, if you notice where Hollywood and Vine is, if you trace the camera across, this would be to my left. On the top of the buildings with all of the funny sayings and all that is a Maroon Studios with none other than Roger Rabbit, Jessica Rabbit, and Baby Herman. If you've all seen Roger Rabbit or it's been a while, let me know in the comments. It was one of the first movies I ever saw at the drive-in. Again, back in the early 80s. Cool movie. I'm gonna have to see it again because I haven't seen it in years. I'd probably understand it a lot more nowadays. But yeah, the last time I saw it, I was, 6, 7 years old. So yeah, definitely need to see it again. From the Hollywood and Vine area, we're going to work our way around Echo Lake to the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. And I think we'll cover that one and maybe one more thing. And then we'll go do a ride or two. The one thing I wish they would reopen is the Indiana Jones shop up here. That's been closed again since, that's one of those things that never reopened after everything else reopened. Also to my left is the Primetime Cafe. If you ever want a really cool dining experience, think about Grandma's kitchen back in the 70s and 80s. That's about what it's like. And they actually kind of poke fun at you, and if you don't clean your plate, they'll come and make a big spectacle. It's pretty entertaining. In the near future, we'll do a vlog, a dining vlog on that, show you all the hidden details in there. But right here, this is the Indiana. This is not part of the Hidden Secrets or anything, but this is Indiana Jones Adventure Outpost. I really, really wish this would open. But off to the right of the door are some souvenir pennies. They're not Indiana Jones related, but they got some cool stuff. And nonetheless, they got Mickey, Meredith from Brave, from some Phineas and Ferb, Agent P, and then my buddy, my favorite, Buzz Lightyear. So reading more about this Stunt Spectacular, a lot of the features over here from the queue and the exit, these are all screen used props. The tank especially. If anybody remembers Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is one of my all-time favorite movies of the Indiana Jones series, this was used. And I believe on the other side there should be one of the side cannons that was blown out, where he shoved a rock. Yep, there it is. He shoved a rock in there because it was pointed at, I think, one of the vehicles his buddy was driving, and when they went and fired it, it blew it out. But yes, this is one of the screen-used tanks from that movie. It's huge. It doesn't look big from the front, but when you look at it from lengthwise, this thing is gigantic. And there's a bunch of other relics around here. This is the exit to the show. This is where all of the, I'm guessing, the vehicles, stunt performers and all that go through. Would love to see back there. Same with this. I'm sure that goes to the stage or under the stage. This area's got some really cool little relics. Stay behind the rope. Oh man, love to go see that. Just a neat area. Again, it's not, nobody comes back here. I guarantee you, hardly anybody probably knows about that tank there. So I was doing some more reading. A lot of the hidden secrets have to do with how the show is performed. I don't want to ruin that for anybody that's never seen it or that has seen it and is mystified by how it's done. So I'm not going to give that away. All right, we're going to leave that as it is because, you know, it's Disney. You can't ruin the magic. So we're going to leave that alone. And if the queue for this though goes all the way back into the woods, and as you go through the queue, you pass, again, lots of screen-used props from various Indiana Jones movies. But this is one thing I do want to show you. This is kind of out front. It's got a rope, goes down into a hole here with a sign that says "Do not pull rope," but "not" is crossed out. And so I think it used to have a sound effect attached to it.
Oh no! Oh, blimey! Oh. Careful! Deciphering an artifact down here.
That's awesome they fixed this.
50 years of sorrow shall befall the destroyer of this vessel. Oh no!
That's pretty neat. Because
Blast it all! Don't pull the rope! You don't want to break the... Oh dear.
It's still going.
Stop mucking about up there.
That's really neat. Let's see if he does it again. No, it's still working. You can hear him working down there. So this feature was broken for a long time. Glad it's back working again. Because there were some vloggers that were here not long ago that pulled this and nothing happened. Let's see if we can get it again. No, he's still working down there. So the very next section that they have that brings us around from the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular is Star Tours. And because I didn't want to give out all of the secrets of how the show is done, I was going to go do Star Tours. However, Star Tours is an entire vlog in and of itself. There is a ton of stuff hidden in that queue. Basically, you have to go through the queue, ride the ride. You could do one just by itself with that one. So we're going to do one with that, and then Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which also is a product of the old Streets of America and the old backlot tour that used to be here. So we're going to save that for another one again, so we don't pile all this together. So we just kind of settled up with Indiana Jones and did that one. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to get on some rides without waiting and without doing Genie Plus. Because Genie Plus is $22 right now. Why is $22? Not really sure, because I mean, it's kind of busy, but it's not a $22 Genie Plus busy. I don't know if that makes sense. But we're going to show you how to do some rides. Again, you can't do this with all of them, just a couple, but I'll show you a few secrets here. We're going into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Walking through Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, come upon a large crowd in the market area. And the Mandalorian's out doing some eating and greeting. So here we are, Millennium Falcon ride. I need to find something to drink real quick, then we'll get on. Current wait time, 85 minutes. Look, Kylo Ren's out terrorizing Disney guests. That's so cool. The one thing I will say about this land, though, is that from what it was supposed to be to what it turned out is kind of disappointing, actually, because it was supposed to be so much more. What they ended up doing was taking a lot of the experiences that were supposed to be here, and they paywalled them behind the Galactic Star Cruiser, which boards over there, which, as you all know, that's going to close in September. And I've got my own thoughts and opinions on that we'll talk about in a little bit, but everybody's covering it right now, so I'm going to let it marinate for a little bit, and then we'll talk about it. But they were supposed to have droids roaming around. The Millennium Falcon ride was supposed to be geared to your Magic Band, that depending on how well or poorly you flew the Falcon, characters would be able to interact with you. There was actually supposed to be a people mover style ride that went around the top of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, giving everybody a bird's eye view down into the complex. A lot of cool stuff was ultimately cut out of the budget, and we ended up getting a shell of what was supposed to be here. I mean, it's impressive, it's cool, but what was originally supposed to be here was, holy cow. Yeah, it was, that ride was supposed to go along the upper part of the land up there. I believe they were also working on drone technology to have ships literally lift off and then fly overhead or kind of across the side here and then land over in those areas. Okay, we're going to show you how to do this. So right now you got an hour wait time, lightning lane at 12:15, and then single rider off to the left. If you've ridden this with your family and done this all together and want to experience it without the wait, single rider is where it's at. Don't waste your time in standby. You only get one lightning lane. The only downside to single rider is you can't fly. They're going to reserve that to people that are waiting in line. If you don't care about flying the aircraft, single rider is the way to do it. Basically, once you've had a chance to experience it the regular way and you want to keep riding it, this is how you do it. I'm going to watch this. Here we go. We're going to enter right in through here. There we go.
Starships in the water. The fastest
at the end of this long hallway, you're going to come to the point of indecision. So most people don't even look to their other side. They go straight ahead. That will take you up to, there's two different places that you can go here. So one is straight ahead. That'll take you to a different spot. And then if you notice, there's an arrow that's lit up this way. There's a second door right back here. But people come through here and they walk straight that way and they miss this one. And nobody ever goes up this way. So this is the one you want to choose. As you come up here, this is right where this 2 is. This is right where the merge point of the ride is. Just like that. There we go. So a 65-minute wait literally took less than 30 seconds. That's how you do this ride. Falcon's coming apart.
Engineers,
All right.
last stop.
Okay.
All right, you're gonna watch that screen right there. Hondo's back there.
You're back. I did not think I would see.
The middle chair.
So basically, I got to put the ship back together every time they hit something.
To inside.
All right, here we go.
Flight engineer, prepare then. Hit your flashing button. Only flight engineer. I'll do what I can to help out. Right, pilot. Push the flashing button to take off. Pilot on the left. Move your stick to fly right and left.
This is gonna be rough.
I was just about to
This
say
is
that.
gonna be rough.
On the right. Pull back on the stick to fly out and push forward to fly down.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, we're good.
Weapons are online.
Oh my God! We're hitting everything. Oh Lord! Oh my God! We're coming apart.
Yes.
We're good.
They've locked onto us. Take it
Oh
easy.
God! Ship's coming apart again. Oh my gosh! I didn't even know you could fly over here. Oh my God!
There it is. After that plane.
Jeez!
Flight engineers. Fire the harpoon. Excellent. Now, gunners.
All right, we're locked on. Oh God!
My friends, that could have been much worse. Excellent, my friends. Power up the ship.
There we go.
Axiom. Keep shooting.
It's coming apart! Yeah!
Job, my friends. Yes, yes, yes. We got the two axiom. I will grab him. You keep up the retreat. That's ridiculous. Things are getting too hot.
Oh my God!
Yes. Anti-distraction. I don't believe it, but we made it. Now, let's get out.
Oh, we're in the asteroid field.
Your hyperdrive has failed.
Uh-oh.
Pilots, evasive maneuvers. Watch out!
Oh boy, that hurt.
Great job, my friends.
Ah!
Two containers of coaxium.
My God.
This will greatly help the resistance. You heard the first order and made Chewie proud. Now, after my modest profit, your cut, minus 1 to only for damaging the Falcon is, hey, not bad.
Marauders. Wow.
Get it up to the wall. Giant stone structure came out of nowhere.
Wow. I've never been in the elevator even this
That's
thing.
definitely destroyed the ship.
Get all right.
Not alright.
So that was a lot of fun. We had a family that I rode with that was absolutely hilarious. But yes, that's how you take the single rider and turn a 65-minute wait into literally it took 30 seconds to get on board. That was awesome. They were flying that thing in places I didn't even know you could go. I was amazed. So basically, as you're here walking around the Walt Disney World Resort, look for any attraction that has a single rider queue. If it's got a single rider queue, some examples are Test Track, various other rides around the property have it, Expedition Everest. The reason it works so well in some of these rides is, like the Falcon, it seats 6. You know, you get some of these odd numbers, they don't want to leave empty seats, and so might as well fill them. So that's why they utilize single rider. So anything that's got single rider, go ahead and get in the line after you've had the full experience, and you can ride it over and over and over again with minimal wait.
Here we go.
So you can't have a walk around the Disney parks without the old shaking Jamaican. A little bit of cream. But what never ceases to amaze me is how these people literally have at least 5 to 10 minutes in line while they're waiting. And the menu board is right there, clear visibility with everything. And they get up there and like, what do you have here? Oh! So this, where I'm at, is the old Pixar place. This actually led back into the streets of America through that archway straight ahead. This looks like they... Holy cow. This stuff that's open again. So this was an Incredibles experience slash taking pictures with the Incredibles back here. And now it looks like it's kind of been kind of gone back to more of a Pixar in general experience. There's a lot of meet and greets back here again. Good to see some life being breathed back into this area. There's old Mike, I'm not Mike, Sully meeting and greeting. And then you can see some of the old streets of America right over the fencing there. And this looks like a theater exit, but I don't remember what. Unless that was the old, I think I know, that was the old Toy Story Mania exit, I believe. Because this right here was the main entrance to Toy Story Midway Mania back a couple years ago. I remember you walked in that ramp. This was Fast Pass. That was standby queue right there. That was wild. So the entrance to this is still Midway Mania. The entrance is just on the opposite side now in Toy Story Land. This area here with the curtains drawn down used to be a huge Toy Story gift shop. One other place I want to stop in real quick on our old relics journey is Walt Disney Presents. So this is Walt Disney Presents. This is a whole history of basically how Walt created basically everything. This is one of my favorite pictures of him explaining the original concept of Epcot and then talking about the new Florida project. Oh, if he could see this now, I'm sure he can. And then the Tiki Room, which originally was going to be a restaurant with live birds, and they decided that's probably not a good idea. So they ended up making animatronics and made it a show. This is another thing you can literally do an entire vlog on. Which we will. There's a lot to see in here. But I come in here to look for something. Supposedly there's some relics in here from the 1964 World's Fair. So after some looking, I did find it right here. Small World at the big World's Fair. So Walt created It's a Small World for the 1964 World's Fair that was in New York. Recently, Adam LeWoo did a really cool video on the grounds that were there, and he was trying to locate where It's a Small World and the Carousel of Progress were. And so this figure, whatever you want to call that, I call it a figure or a statue or sculpture, whatever that is, right behind Walt. That was at the entrance to It's a Small World. And here is a model of that. This is actually called Tower of the Four Winds. And it was as the marquee at the entrance of It's a Small World, Walt and his designers developed this Tower of the Four Winds with spinning elements that included animals from every land featured in the ride. And the tower quickly became a popular landmark for the fair. This scale model is a fraction of the actual size of the tower, which stood 120 feet tall. That's incredible. But actually, if you look at It's a Small World here at Disneyland and all around the world, they have a lot of these similar elements in the ride and in the backdrops of It's a Small World.
Hello everyone.
What a cool piece of history here. And then right here, I believe that's Mary Blair, who had a huge part in creating It's a Small World, and one of her works of art is actually in the Contemporary on the middle section.
If you wish to see this presentation of The Little Mermaid, please make
So this was one of the biggest hits at the New York World's Fair. After the World's Fair, Walt decided this attraction should move to Disneyland. The team of WED, Walter Elias Disney designers created this scale model to visualize how the show would fit into its new permanent home. That's incredible. So this right here is the one that's at Disneyland. And if you haven't seen it yet, and you can get out there to see It's a Small World at Disneyland, it's stunning. The one here is cool, but the one at Disneyland, oh my gosh, way ahead of ours. And they do have trees just like that one with the blocks, and then they have the sculptures. The 45 up there in the corner is actually part of the clock that goes in the middle. So basically every 15 minutes, I believe, the doors open and it'll reveal the time. Also, when it strikes every hour on the hour, it chimes the number of hours. And then it has toy soldiers in that come out from the sides and they all march around the clock. It's pretty neat. The one here does some features, but nothing like the one at Disneyland. So one more stop on our sightseeing today is going to be underneath this arch, which you remember in one of the more recent vlogs I posted, we were looking for some old artifacts back there and some old school stuff. We're going to come and check that out a little bit more. And again, I'm going to just keep adding stuff as we do this, but now the Star Wars launch bay is open and I can actually get back to where I really wanted to go earlier. So through these arches used to be the old animator's courtyard. This was a very, very neat place to go, because the animation experience that's now at Animal Kingdom used to be here. I don't remember what building it was in, but it was quite the experience. Yeah, animation experience. Get it? But supposedly it was almost, I think, almost better than what it is now. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I've heard from a lot of people. And straight ahead is Star Wars Launch Bay, which honestly, anybody going now, that's all they know it as, but this used to be, right through this area, was the old backlot tour. The old tram tour. So we're gonna take a walk into history. Right now it's all meet and greets now. But they've actually transformed all this. And somewhere back this way is where the tram used to pick people up to go on the tram tour. Like I said, last time I was here, this was all completely closed. And I believe that all of this looks like queue space. Sure, there's all the poles that go in the ground. I could almost bet this is where they would line people up, right through here. There's chains, there's doors, yep, and then that wall right over this way looks like it was put there more recently. So I bet you would line up and come right down this way, and you would walk right here and you'd board your tram tour car. And I think right there at that pedestal is where the cast members used to stand that would help guide people on their way. And I believe, yeah, this was the old trams. The trams used to come right down through here and park right here. How freaking cool is that? This is where we couldn't get to the other day. This is neat to see this. I would love to know what's back here. I think this is one of the old animation buildings that you used to be able to tour through. This building right where my finger's pointing. They used to have a ton of tours here when this was Hollywood Studios, when it was actually MGM Studios. But I think this is where it would pick people up, and I want to say maybe up there is where to drop people off. We'll have to try to find some old photos of this. Man. But they used to have a ton of animation here. Okay, there was a Launch Bay Theater here. You know what I need to do actually is find some old maps from MGM Studio days. And from what I've heard, there was something really cool down in this area. I can't remember what it was, but I gotta look it up. But this was all a big part of the old MGM. Star Wars Launch Bay. There it is, the famous blue splotch. Nobody knows why it's there, what it means, what the purpose of it is. It's just there. And what's wild is you have this wall. Everything is clean around here. There's you know, artwork like this, like to be a window. But then you go along, and then there's this just kind of sits there all by its lonesome. As I was thinking about it, it had been almost 4 years since I've been in there. 2019 was the last time going in there. And again, lots of the old school glass block walls back here too, so I love that. And here we are, back on the old tram route. Oh yeah, you can see too right here, all of the stanchion poles that they could pull up for when it got to be pretty busy. That's one thing that I wish they would have never gotten rid of, is that tram tour. If you're looking for one, Universal Studios Hollywood out in Hollywood, California still has theirs, and it is, from what a lot of people say, it's better than it ever has been. So take a tour on the tram tour. Universal Hollywood still keeps their old movie set too. They still do productions, movies, you name it. It still functions as it was supposed to. And we are right back to where we started. Our old pal Mickey that's actually a lightning rod. All right. It was a good time. Back home again after being at Hollywood Studios. And as I referenced, being in that park as well as Magic Kingdom, we have just scratched the surface of doing these, I like to call it hidden details in plain sight. But thumbs up, make sure, like the video. That's a big deal. I'm learning this YouTube thing. Even more so than the subscriber count, it's the likes. The likes is what propels you into the algorithm, which helps you get more exposure, which then drives your subscribership and all that. So if you can, give me that big thumbs up. And the future is what you make of it. Make it a good one, each and every one of you. I'll see you all very soon. Main Street Fire Rescue, out of service.